It's hour 2 of FST. I hope we make it through because I got to say, I think the control room has lost their mind. They are really out of it right now. The debate's going on there. You don't want to know. You don't want to hear about it. You're lucky you're just dealing with me and George Kurtz for the next hour. I can tell you that. George and I are going to look ahead to, again, a lot more baseball here in hour 2, but football's around the corner. So make sure you're with us here on SportsGrid. Make sure you're also subscribing to our Twitter feed, Instagram, all of the social media channels here for you to stay on top of everything going on here. So watch us over on X, and you can subscribe over there too. Make sure you're checking us out at SportsGrid TV. That's the place to follow us. George, it's the trade win season, right? We're turning our attention once you get to July 4th. That's when things start to really heat up a little bit. We saw the Rafael Devers trade. That was the first shot fired, I think, this trade season. I think there will be a lot more to come, but the struggle is identifying the teams that really think that they're out of it. Expanded playoffs make it much harder. Everybody kind of thinks they're hanging around and they don't want to alienate their fan base. And I understand. I like it. I think it's good for baseball. Salary cap might be better for baseball, but who am I to say crazy things like that? Let's take a look at some players who actually could be headed out the door and what it means for their fantasy value. Let's start with Eugenio Suarez of the Arizona Diamondbacks. A little scare earlier this week where he got hit by a pitch, but he's okay. Got 25 homers on the year, George, 67 RBI, 254 batting average. This guy was awful for the first 3 months of 2024 and then became red hot, one of the best pitchers in best hitters, in baseball down the stretch, and it's carried over into 2025. It's been an incredible run here for Suarez, but realistically speaking, Corbin Burns out, Corbin Carroll is out right now. This is not a contending team, especially in that division where you've got the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants. It's just too much to bear. The Diamondbacks would be smart to let Jordan Lawler play every day, see what he is, and then probably move on from Suarez. So I think the landing spot, I continue to say, for me, George, the landing spot is definitely the Milwaukee Brewers. He fits the need in the middle of that order, the power bat, lineup protection, and third base, which has been a big cavern for them. What's your possible landing spot for Eugenio Suarez, and what does it mean for his fantasy value if he goes to, say, the Brewers?
Well, I don't know if they're going to trade him. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I agree with your sentiments, by the way, but you know, your intro said, hey, teams don't want to go for it. They want to make the playoffs. And then you said, what, they really don't have a chance to go anywhere. And both of those things are true for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They came into the season thinking they were going to compete, right? You signed Corbin Burns here. All right, you're going to have the good pitcher. Zach Gallen, Cy Young, a couple of years ago. We're going to be great. And neither one, right? Burns is hurt. Gallen's been terrible. So, are they willing to give up, move on when they're only 3.5 games out? Now, a trade deadline is 4 weeks away, 4+ weeks away. Maybe they're 8 games out by the time we're talking about this, and the decision's easier. But they're not trading Suarez right now. They're not. They're not going to do that because they're 3.5 out. And you can't sell that to your fan base to sell out when you're that close. Milwaukee makes sense here if they do. But the Yankees make sense. The Yankees desperately need a third baseman because Jazz Chisholm ain't it, boys and girls. He's a second baseman. I'm getting tired of him making an error every game there. So the Yankees would make some sense there. And there are several other teams. The bottom line is this. If I'm Arizona, even if I still have 3.5 games out in July, I am shopping Suarez. I don't think he's a guy that, if I'm getting a good price for him, Joe, I'm moving him. I'm like, wow, they're going to give me this for Suarez here? I'm moving him either way here, whether I'm in or out of it. So, yeah, I think we're going to hear his name. We're going to hear mentioned because he's going to hit 40 home runs this year, whatever it might be. And if he were to go to Milwaukee, by the way, that's a better hit in his ballpark than Arizona. So I think, yes, that'd be a nice place for him to end up.
Well, Josh Naylor is a free agent at the end of the season, and he is a teammate here. And look, I think realistically, you look at the pitching staff of the Diamondbacks. Once Corbin Burns went down, it's done. Zach Gallen's awful. Brandon Pfaadt's been terrible. Just understand that you're better off not trying to fool yourself to thinking you're a contender. But Josh Naylor, another guy, could help a lot of teams. Could being reunited with the Cleveland Guardians be the right move there for them to bring him back home? Maybe elsewhere when you look around. I mean, a lot of teams could use him as a first base or a DH. Maybe even the Mets could look at him as a DH just the rest of season because it's probably unlikely the Diamondbacks are going to re-sign him. They should probably get something for Josh Naylor. Where do you think he might end up?
I don't think either one of the two teams you mentioned. Neither one makes really any kind of to give up that much. Cleveland's not going to give up a hole to get Josh Naylor back. I don't see that. They're not going to pay that price either. Mets, they need pitching, not hitting. All right, their hitting should be fine here. What are you going to bench another one of your good youngsters there? I mean, it's hard to find the right fit for him. All right, I mean, Tampa's generally they're not an in team. Toronto doesn't need it. Seattle does. But will they pay them? They say they will this year, right? The ownership said they will add salary at the deadline. So I think Seattle could make some sense. They need another bat there. You can make it hard for the Angels here. I mean, even Milwaukee, I don't think that's a perfect fit for Naylor. Wrong position for him here. But if I'm going to pick a team here, I'm going with the Mariners.
All right, Mitch Keller should be on the block for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has 11 quality starts this year. That is tied for the third most in Major League Baseball. Well, the strikeout rates are a little down. You'll get Mitch Keller as a guy that can help a lot of rotations. I think the Red Sox should be in on this one personally. I think you could make an argument the Blue Jays could be in on this one. I know they just got Scherzer back, but I still don't know if that's enough. I would even say the Detroit Tigers, too, are a team that I'd like to see them get a little bit more pitching. I'm just not sure about Casey Mize down the stretch, what I'm going to get out of him. Reese Olson's working his way back from injury. So getting another starter would be good. The Astros don't need any help. They got a ton of pitchers coming back, George. Those are the American League teams. In the National League, I think the Dodgers are looking, again, from within, just guys getting healthy. I don't see the Cubs in that same division working that deal with the Pirates. So really, to me, it's American League or bust for Mitch Keller. Which team in the AL do you think that he might end up on?
He's not a rental. Got to keep that in mind here. He's got term. He's got 3 more years left, 15.4 million, which in this day and age is not a lot. He's 29, right? He'll be 30. I think he's going to have a lot of interest here. I think it comes down to, Pittsburgh, you're not going to get 100 cents on a dollar because he's going to have some contract. You're not going to eat the money. We know Pittsburgh's not going to eat money there. Any team could use him. Any team's in contention, right? Everyone needs pitching. Do I think the teams you mentioned on the top of the list? Sure here. You put the Yankees in there too. They Marcus Stroman is starting for the Yankees tomorrow. All right, that's all I need to say about that. In fact, whether or not you need pitching. It won't be the Rays. Jays will certainly be in there. It won't be Seattle. Seattle's a team that doesn't need pitching. You can make it hard for Cleveland. But once again, I don't think they'll pay that price here. So where's the perfect team in the American League? It's really not there. Once again, I go to the Mets.
The Tigers still.
The Mets could use them. Tigers. Maybe. The Mets have a team that could 15.4. That's not big for Stearns here, and he'd be a nice little number 2, number 3 starter there. Mitch Keller would be good.
Well,
with
the Mets have so many prospects, and again, it's just whether they want to move them, and there's so many are blocked too because they have guys like Lindor and Soto, and that's the thing too is like the guys have nowhere to play. There's 2 guys in the Marlins who are very intriguing. You have Edward Cabrera, who has been fantastic over his last 7 starts. He's got a 2.31 ERA. He's really turned things around. Sandy Alcantara starting to turn things around too. Both these guys, again, I think it's the Cubs. I think it's the Mets at the forefront for those 2 guys from the Marlins. What are your thoughts about those 2 guys and what they could do to help another rotation that's a contender?
Yeah, is Miami going to trade him or one or both? That's sort of the thing here. We don't know with them. I wonder with Alcantara if they feel his value is not quite what it should be yet because he had the rough start. He's just starting to pitch better now. If he doesn't start being lights out over the next month, I can see them wait to the offseason because he is that good. Alcantara comes up to $17 million for next year and a $21 million team option for the year after that. So he's got some money coming with him as well here. It's going to be teams got to determine, is he that guy? Is he going to be that ace? So we'll see there. ECAB is another guy. I think they'll trade one. I don't think they're trading both, Joe. I think they'll trade one here, and I don't think there'll be a lot of interest, but I don't think they go to the Mets. Same division. Don't see that happening. Cubs make a lot of sense.
2 relievers, too, Johan Duran and Felix Bautista. Both guys could be on the move here, and I think the Phillies would be the best landing spot for one of them. Jose Alvarado's not going to be able to pitch because of that suspension in the playoffs, which means they need bullpen help still in the worst way. Can the Phillies ever get the bullpen right? Probably not. We'll be right back looking at the rest of Major League Baseball this weekend.
What do you make of this price tag here reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark.
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bombers Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, everybody. George and I are going to take the lightning lap around Major League Baseball this weekend. A lot of games to get to, a lot of fantasy implications. Let's start with George's Yankees against the Athletics of, we don't know, Las Vegas, Sacramento, whatever the hell you want to call them. You got J.P. Sears and Clark Schmidt on the mound today, and then Luis Severino's been a gas can against TBD, which we believe to be Marcus Stroman. I feel like, George, Aaron Boone would rather tear his ACL again playing basketball, as he did years ago before A-Rod took his job, than have to watch Marcus Stroman make another start for the Yankees. Discuss.
This is not Boone. People go, I let people say Boone. Boone makes no decisions, boys and girls. This is Cashman not wanting to admit it was another bad signing.
I'm not saying he's deciding.
Yeah.
I'm saying he would rather have another torn ACL than have to watch it. I'm not saying it's his decision. I'm just talking about the watching.
He has no choice. It's Stroman. We're going to put in Alan Winans. He didn't look all that great against the Reds on Monday, although I would rather see him. We know what Stroman is. He's a softball thrower at this point. It was a bad sign when it happened. We all knew it was going to be a bad sign. The only good news is that he won't reach the 150 innings limit to pick up his option for next year, so he'll be gone eventually. We're all waiting for Louis Hill to come back and get that spot, which should be after the All-Star break there. So it is what it is tomorrow. Take the over. Right there. There you go. J.P. Sears versus Clark Schmidt today. Schmidt coming off the a 7-inning no-hitter that they pulled him from on Sunday. He's been very good for the Yankees. Schmidt and Warren really have some ways saved the Yankee season.
Twins and Tigers this weekend. Bailey Ober versus Casey Mize and Chris Paddock against Tariq Skubal. Guess what, boys and girls? This is the end of the Twinkies. The Twinkies should be sellers after this series because they're going to get their rear end handed to them. Bailey Ober, just for S's and G's here, last 7 games as an ERA of 6.39. That's how bad it's been for Bailey Ober, and Chris Paddock just got absolutely destroyed in his last outing. To me, this is very heavy looking at the Tiger side of this weekend. George, what do you think?
Nothing much to add there. I agree. That's the ESPN game tomorrow night, by the way. Detroit, Minnesota. Oh. Probably didn't see that coming here, but hey, they get Tariq Skubal, so we get to watch him here. But I agree. Hey, the Twins did win last night for whatever it's worth here, but I don't see this being a good weekend for them.
Start off a bad weekend for the Mets here. You don't want to lose to the Pirates. Lose to the Pirates, Mets? Is that what we're doing here? Come on, man. It's one thing when the Braves take it to you. It's another thing when you lose to the Pirates. You got Paul Blackburn on the mound, Frankie Montas. I think the big fantasy question here, George, on everybody's mind is, can Frankie Montas do it again? I was stunned in disbelief at what my eyes saw against the Atlanta Braves from Frankie Montas earlier this week. Do you think he can repeat it against the Pirates? And if he does, what does that mean to his free agent budget here this weekend as teams are looking to add some starting pitching help? I have to imagine another scoreless 5 innings from Frankie Montas against the Pirates will go a long way to make people really interested in him being picked up on the waiver wire. What do you think?
I think you're reading it right? Once again, I agree with everything you said there. Shocked he pitched so well against the Braves, and he might do it again against the Pirates. They can't hit. All right, it'll be a buyer beware. But you're right, his price is going to go up tomorrow night in Fab because he gets 2 good starts here. We all need starters, and you might start thinking, well, you know what? The Mets will score some runs, so maybe get some wins out of him even when he doesn't pitch poorly, or when he does pitch poorly, sort of that sort of thing here. So, yeah, the price is probably going to go up because he's going to pitch well tomorrow.
Pepio with his first disappointing start in a while here for the Rays that just happened yesterday after really being fantastic in the last 6 or 7 starts, but everybody has a bad day at the office. It's a really good day for the Orioles offense. They're going to play host once again to the Tampa Bay Rays, Zach Littell and Zach Eflin. The battle of the Zachs. One spells it with a K, the other with an H. You let me know which one is the right way to spell it. Taj Bradley and Dean Kremer in the next one. I would expect some runs here over the weekend. And also, I want to point out, too, Logan Henderson in 18 at-bats in his career against Zach Littell, hitting .389 with a 12.28 OPS. Colton Cowser in 11 at-bats against Littell, .364 batting average with a 14.55 OPS. I think you're going to see a lot more runs out of the Orioles today, and maybe, just maybe, George, we can start to get Gunnar Henderson back on track. What do you think?
God, they scored 22 yesterday. Eflin, by the way, looking at the pitcher that's probably on the market at the deadline, Eflin is it. He has not pitched well for Baltimore this year after pitching so well last year. Also, the former Tampa Bay Ray here. I kind of agree with you. I expect runs to be put up on the board today. I'll have the over in this game later on. Bradley and Kramer tomorrow. Bradley's been a little inconsistent. So is Kramer, really, when you think about it here. Probably don't feel as confident about runs being scored tomorrow. But this today should be an over.
Next on our list, we have the Seattle Mariners and the Texas Rangers. Brian Wu on the mound against Kumar Rocker. Wu's been terrific this year in terms of ERA and whip. Luis Castillo, it's been a little smoke and mirrors for Castillo. He has held it together. The counting stats are good. The deeper stats still a little troubling for me. But it really comes down to the Rangers, who offensively, you look at it, George, very hot and cold this year. That's kind of been their MO. And you look at some of the guys who have hit or not hit, I should say, Brian Wu in their career. There's not too many of them. The one guy that stands out that has some positive at-bats, really 2, it's Corey Seager and Simeon. And Seager is one of these guys that's got to start getting hot in the worst way, George, if Texas is going to really make a run here in July. What do you think about Simeon, Seager against Wu today?
Not much. All right. We did our segment earlier about our ace of the week here. I've never saw so many good starters who had great starts. Wu was going to be my guy. He's certainly on my top 3 there. He's been that kind of pitcher here. Luis Castillo, by the way, you already said it, smoke and mirrors. He's the guy they're going to want to move, right? To get that bat. If they're going to trade for a bat, he's the guy they'd like to move here, especially once Bryce Miller gets back in rotation and healthy as well here. I would have Castillo if Seattle puts Texas away this weekend. They win both games, puts Texas to 4.5 games out of the wild card, separates themselves from the Rangers.
Shohei Ohtani takes the hill today against the Kansas City Royals. Seth Lugo has been really good since returning from his IL stint. TBD, as the Los Angeles Dodgers continue to try to find starting pitchers. They are leading the league in starting pitchers who have started games this season already, and it's been a lot. We're already up plus 15 there. Chris Bubich on the mound. So, look, in theory here, once again, you're looking at Ohtani, maybe 2 innings we're looking at today, George, and then Kasparius again. That seems to be the game plan, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to heal. We all want to see Ohtani, how long he's going to go in. Glasnow, by the way, rehab start, got wrecked last night. Something like 5 runs, 7 hits, 2 1/3.
Well, apparently that doesn't matter because Frankie Montas had a 12 ERA and he looked great. Maybe they're just working on stuff. Maybe that's what's happening. More MLB action coming at you after this.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bomber's Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The Padres and the Reds square off this weekend, so let's take a look at what those games look like. Randy Vasquez against Andrew Abbott and Stephen Kolek against Nick Lodolo. Look, the Reds rotation, George, has been no joke, especially now adding Chase Burns at some point. You hope to get Hunter Green back and healthy and looking good again. Abbott has been terrific here. Padres have struggled a little bit. Red hot start to the season. They've leveled out a little bit. Any fantasy takeaways you're looking forward to in this contest between the Padres and the Reds?
Yeah, I don't think the Padres will score a lot of runs today either. Abbott is almost a true ace here, right? He's really good. Lodolo, a nice solid pitcher as well. Reds, two games out of a wild card. All right, I got a ticket on the Reds here, man. I almost gave them up about a month ago here. Now I'm like, all right, this pitching staff really could do some damage here. We know they got some offense. I do wonder if they'll make an addition at the deadline as well. So I'm on Team Red, baby. Team Red, baby. Maybe a sweep this weekend, at least 2 out of 3.
The Cardinals and the Guardians are going to play this weekend. Miles Michaelis against Slade Ciccone, who's been actually surprisingly solid in the last few outings for him. Once upon a time was pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, now finds himself in Cleveland, who's part of that Josh Naylor deal. Sunday, Matthew Liberatore versus Logan Allen here. It would seem to me, George, that these pitching matchups still favor the Cardinals, a team that, again, continues to find ways to grind out victories. They have slowed down the pace a little bit, but in terms of fantasy equity and conversation here, what stands out to you?
Yeah, probably not really dying to start anybody on Cleveland, right? Ciccone, like I said, he's been all right. Logan Allen scares me here. I have no problem going Michaelis or Liberatore. But then again, you're doing that against Cleveland anyway. They don't have a very good offensive team, and we don't know about Ramirez, right? Missed the game last night after that. Them and Cleveland got into it. Cleveland hits Guerrero. Well, we're going to hit Ramirez. And they both ended up leaving that game. Guerrero did play last night. Ramirez did not. So we'll see here. If Ramirez is out, this is going to be heavy St. Louis today.
The last 3 starts for Lucas Giolito have been quality starts. Yes, I know, it's stunning. You can't possibly fathom that for a guy who was just absolutely dreadful in May with a 4.85 ERA. That ERA has come way down this month in June. So Lucas Giolito takes the mound here against Chris Bassett and the Blue Jays in Boston. And then Eric Lauer, who we mentioned before, is a streamer. You can pick him up and start him against Walker Buehler because George Walker Buehler has been absolutely awful. To me, I don't know how he hasn't been DFA'd yet. I guess because Kyle Harrison's not quite ready with the project they want him on, where he's using some different pitches a little bit more in that pitch mix, and they're teaching him a cutter. So I can only assume that's the reason we still see Walker Buehler. But, man, I don't know how much longer we can keep rolling him out there in rotation if we're the Boston Red Sox. So is this Walker Buehler's last stand, and do you trust Giolito after 3 straight quality starts?
No on Giolito. All right, no. Toronto can hit 1-9-0 last night. Boston looks like they're about ready to pack it in for the season. Which, well, listen, when you traded Devers, you were pretty much saying, we're not really expecting much from 25. We'll go for it in future years, save on that contract, and get somebody else in there. So, no, give me Bassett today. I think he'll come back down to earth. Giolito, Walker Buehler. I don't know what's going on here. I just don't. It's almost like Giolito and Buehler have switched bodies here, because Buehler's be pitching like Giolito has, and maybe Giolito like Walker Buehler has.
We'll run through the rest of these real quick here, George. Giants at White Sox. Robbie Ray against Adrian Hauser, and Verlander against the TBD. Robbie Ray's been terrific here for the San Francisco Giants this year. Hopefully it continues. The Marlins and Diamondbacks. Sandy Alcantara, Cal Quantrill will take the mound for them. Brandon Pfaadt today against Alcantara. This should favor the Marlins. I made some money the other night betting the Marlins as an underdog, and I think they will be the favorites today here with Sandy on the mound against Brandon Pfaadt, who's been awful. The Rockies and Brewers. You get Herman Marquez and Antonio Senzatella. So give me all the team totals of the Brewers this weekend. Chad Patrick's also been pretty solid there, so look for Chad Patrick as another streaming option here at the end of this tailing 2-start week for him. The Cubs and Astros, Colin Ray, Jamison Taillon, those are the guys pitching for the Cubs. But you got Framber Valdez on the hill on Sunday. So Framber Valdez, again, just does not get enough credit in real life, in fantasy circles. Every time he goes out there, he is an absolute stud. The Phillies have Jesus Luzardo, who has gotten back on track again after that last start against the Mets. Great pitching matchup today against Spencer Schwellenbach. Then Ranger Suarez against Spencer Strider tomorrow. All the Spencers. It's a Spencer for hire weekend for the Atlanta Braves. And last, but maybe least, Sam's Washington Nationals against the Angels. You got Soroka and Parker. Soroka, actually, a really good start last time out. And then Kyle Hendricks and Kachanowicz. Feels like a lot of overs for me in that game, and continue to watch Joe Adell, who has been absolutely red hot in the month of June. Holy cow. Has he really turned things around? Maybe Max Muncy gave him some glass. I don't know. We come back. More FST. Don't go anywhere.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bomber's Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all 3 levels. And the thing about I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We've had some great conversations here talking baseball, but it's time to bring in another expert and get another opinion from Razzball Gray. Albright joins us as he does every Saturday. Why Craig Mish calls you a friend and makes you get up on the West Coast at 6:30 to join us, I'll never know. But that, my friends, is what true friendship is about. That's when you show up. Gray, great to see you as always. Quick question for you to start. Earlier in the show, we were discussing some of these pitchers like Clay Holmes, Drew Rasmussen, and even Chris Bubich, who are pushing innings limits that they're usually not as comfortable with, especially when you look at the previous season or two behind them. Guys who are, mostly in the pen like Clay Holmes, now all of a sudden pushing 90, 100 innings. Is this the time to sell them? If so, Rasmussen, Holmes, Bubich, who do you think has what it takes to actually be good the rest of the season in a starter role?
Man, that's a pretty open-ended question. I would say there's they're probably hit or miss on a few of those guys. Bubich, I really like. I think he's over 27 years old, so I believe he's going to be fine to, go over his innings. Usually guys who are like, say like Chase Burns or Jacob Mizorowski, or even maybe, like Bubba Chandler, who we haven't seen yet, or even maybe like a Paul Skeens, like guys who are younger, I would be a little bit more worried about. But older arms, guys, I think they just sort of let them throw as much as they're going to throw, and they don't really concern themselves with innings as much. I say Clay Holmes is likely going to be okay to throw as many innings as they can get out of him. I don't know how many innings that necessarily will be, but I don't think because before this year, Clay Holmes hasn't really thrown more than 70 innings in a season. So technically right now they should be shutting him down if they were worried about his arm. But I think that's kind of a thing for younger pitchers. For guys like Clay Holmes who are in their 30s, I think they're just going to let him throw. He's at 88 innings now. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws 140 innings. Will they be a great 140 innings? I didn't really think he was going to have a great 88 innings in his arm, to be honest, because he struggled as a reliever for the Yankees. So the fact that they've gotten so much out of him, and really credit to the Mets and Jeremy Hefner, the pitching coach, because they've really gotten so much more out of Clay Holmes than I thought they would. So I guess it's a long way of me saying I don't think there's any hard, fast rule for when guys are going to get shut down. A few of them who are younger, probably you're looking at roughly 30 innings after their last year's innings total. But for guys over the age of, say, 26, they're probably just going to let them throw.
Great. Let's talk about somebody you briefly mentioned there. Chase Burns, Cincinnati Reds. Are we blowing our budget tomorrow for him?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think everyone fell in love with Jacob Mizorowski, and for good reason, because of how well he's pitched since he came up. But I would say, even though Chase Burns' first start of the year for the Reds wasn't necessarily as flashy as maybe we saw with Mizorowski, I think Burns can even be better, because Burns actually has the command, unlike Mizorowski, where I think we're going to see some blow-ups with Mizorowski at some point this year, where I would be a little bit I would probably be on the sell side of Mizorowski, where Chase Burns, I mean, his command is so good and his stuff is so nasty. I think probably I would be looking at roughly 15 to 20% of my budget if I were, in need of a starter. So in $1,000 fab, you're looking at roughly $150 to $200. That's assuming you have the, you have the fab money still left. And in 100 fab, that's roughly $15 to $20. In one of my leagues, actually, he already went in $100 league. He went for $40+ I believe. So, and that's a 12-team mixed league to give you an idea of how shallow. So he really is going to get. There's going to be demand for him. So if you want him, I think you're going to have to spend for him. But I absolutely like him. I would be bidding as aggressively as I could if I needed a pitcher.
Cal Raleigh is going to join the home run derby, and goodness knows he should. He's been incredible in the home run department. He's just incredible, just carrying that offense of the Mariners. His dad actually is going to be set to pitch him. That's a pretty fun story. Gray, I made a case a couple weeks ago that Cal Raleigh should be more in the conversation for MVP, and everybody thought it was nuts. It doesn't look like Vegas thinks I'm as crazy as I was at least a couple weeks ago. If he sets the record for home runs for a catcher, let's say he goes over Sal Perez's 48 from a couple years ago, do you think there's any chance that Cal Raleigh could unseat Aaron Judge? I mean, let's be honest. Cal Raleigh is also catching, calling games. He's wearing the equipment. I'm not saying what Aaron Judge is doing is spectacular. It is, but isn't what Cal Raleigh's doing pretty spectacular too?
I'll add in with Cal Raleigh, something I don't really hear that much about is his home stadium isn't anywhere close to a hitter's park. It's actually a pitcher's park. So what he's doing is just so incredible. Yeah, I would actually, I mean, I might be a little bit biased because, I'm so entrenched in this stuff that I feel like a catcher is worth more than an outfielder. And, I feel like his homers are, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like Cal Raleigh is actually the MVP right now. I know that's probably a little bit of a crazy take. I know Aaron Judge is, having a great season. I just don't know if Aaron Judge really does it for me when you throw in the whole catcher position eligibility and everything. So I really love Cal Raleigh. Now, will he end up being this good for the rest of the season? I don't know. We haven't seen this before. I mean, he's about to pass his career high in homers, and it's going to be July, but barely, so we have basically a half a season left, and he's usually a 220 hitter. So I don't know. We haven't seen the slump yet from Cal Raleigh. Now, if we see him, if he goes into a prolonged slump, something that Aaron Judge just doesn't do, then, Aaron Judge could still win this. I think it's still early enough where there could be some movement there. But right now, I'm going Cal Raleigh over Aaron Judge.
Great. Joe and I talked earlier in the show. We got about 2 minutes, by the way, that, the Mets, their pitching staff's a little bit of a shambles here, but Frankie Montas was terrible in his rehab, pitched real well against the Braves. If he pitches real well tomorrow, I know it's against Pittsburgh, but it's not going to matter. He has 2 good starts here. Do you see him being a popular ad on the waiver wire this week, assuming he pitches well against the Pirates tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, I might be giving away some information here, but I put in bids already for Frankie Montas to get him tomorrow. If I can, I'm not bidding heavily. I think he's at best probably a number 5 in a 12-team league, maybe a number 6. Like he's definitely a back end starter. He pitched well in his first start as far as ERA goes, but he had a few walks. He gave up, I think he gave up some hard hits. I think he's likely a number 6 in a 12-team, maybe a number 3 to 4 in a 15-team or deeper. I don't mind them. I just would put my expectations in check and probably, maybe a roughly a $5 to $7 bid in 1,000 versus what I was saying earlier with Chase Burns. So yeah, he's fine though.
All right, Gray Albright, always great to talk to you. Check out all the stuff going on razzball.com. Real quick, Gray, give me one name of all the injured pitchers we're waiting for. Glasnow, Reagans, Woodruff, Snell, we can go on and on. Who's the one that you actually think, McClanahan even, that he's going to really contribute down the stretch here for fantasy? Who's the one name?
I would probably go Blake Snell, hopefully.
Snell. There you go. There you have it, everybody. Go put your money on Blake Snell. Thanks again, Gray Albright, for joining us today. We come back. We're going to ask some important questions and give you the best answers we can on FSD.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bomber's Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, everybody, welcome back here to SportsGrid. It's that time again. It's time to buy or sell. This is the segment where I'm going to ask George an incredibly difficult question, and he is going to look into the future and give us the answer. If he's buying or selling one of these possibly provocative notions here. And we're going to start with Aaron Judge, leading the majors in home runs this year. Will he do it, George? That is the question. Currently, Aaron Judge has 28 home runs. Shohei Ohtani has 29. And Cal Raleigh, my dude, the guy catching at 32. So I'm going to ask you, when all is said and done, when the dust is cleared, will Aaron Judge be at the top of the home run board in MLB? What say you?
Probably. I mean, you look at Cal Raleigh, who's got the 4 home run lead over Judge here. We've already talked about during the show. He's having a fantastic season. Probably is the MVP right now, mainly because of the catcher position he plays there. And by the way, he's a good catcher. He's not like, oh my God, someone just where's the equipment? He's actually a good defensive catcher there. But you're squatting a million times. Especially when weather gets hot here, you're going to get hit with foul balls, bats. As Graybird, he hasn't had that slump yet. Judge is in the middle of a slump now, actually. So I'll say Judge will catch him here. I wouldn't bet on this, mind you. You know, it's a 4 home run lead. It is nice here. I don't think Cal Raleigh is hitting 55, 58, which is probably what it's going to take here. Judge probably is going to hit 55, 58, somewhere around there is be his number there. So I'll say I'm going to buy this. Aaron Judge will lead the major leagues in home runs this year. Listen, I'm not breaking news. I probably would take that every year. And when he plays these next couple until he's getting up there in age, until his bat does start to slow down.
I was going to say, this is the time to bet it, George, because it was probably minus money a month ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's a tighter race. He's on pace, by the way, for 56 home runs. Cal Raleigh's pace is actually 64. I don't think we're getting 64. But I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm going to buy this one too. I do think George makes a lot of good points there. The dog days of August are coming in catchers. It gets hot. You wear down a little bit. Probably the case. Now, Shohei Ohtani, again, now that he's pitching, I know he's had a couple home runs in recent days, but he did slow down a little bit. I just don't know if the pitching somehow takes a little bit more of a physical toll on him down the season. So the two guys he's really competing against both have a deficit where they're trying to do something kind of superhuman. One is catch a major league season. The other is pitch and DH an entire season. Aaron Judge has to just be Aaron Judge. So at the end of the day, I'm going to buy this as well. All right, let's get to the next question we've got here. Elly De La Cruz snubbed, at least for now, from the All-Star game. Was Elly De La Cruz the biggest All-Star snub this year? I know it's early still. Other guys will get named. But George, do you think Ellie's the guy right now saying, hey, what the hell's going on? I'm the guy that deserves to be in the All-Star game. What do you think? Is he the biggest snub?
If we had a third category called I Don't Care, that would be this one would be. Who cares?
Great, George. That's great television.
Do we care about the All-Star game nowadays?
Take a side, George.
Are you getting paid by the word today, by the way? It's my turn.
Day.
It's my turn, okay? My turn. All right.
So angry.
Who cares about the All-Star game? I mean, really, who cares? All right. This is not saying, is it the biggest All-Star starter snub? We haven't even announced all the All-Stars. If he's going to be a reserve, right? So he's not the starter here. By the way, who's starting at shortstop?
Me.
So we don't even know. All right, so he's such a snub that we don't even know who's the National League starter at shortstop.
I assume it's Lindor. Lindor is, I believe, the guy who was the highest.
It is because I think they were talking about him being. I know I kept asking, well, how do you feel when you keep getting snubbed? So I wonder if he's not the guy either. Sam, you on this?
Shortstop is Lindor and Mookie Betts. It's Lindor right now, and Lindor has had
no, he's not the biggest snub. Lindor's having a fantastic season. So if it would have been Mookie Betts, this would be a good argument. Because Mookie's not having a good season. All right, but no, it's Lindor. Lindor's having a fantastic season for this for the Mets. But is he the biggest All-Star snub? Then we'd have to go over every position here, which he might be. You know, he might. I'm going to say sell here because Lindor deserves it over him. But there could be another position where you're like, but there'll be bigger ones. I mean, come on, it's the All-Star game. We have to represent every team. All right, and they're going to be. Listen, the Chicago White Sox really have an All-Star guy. You know, probably not. You know, but someone's got to go. The Colorado Rockies, do they really have an all-star guy? No. There's going to be somebody more deserving who's not going to go because every team has to be represented.
You know, George, yesterday I took my little nephew to see How to Train Your Dragon, you know, about the fire breathing and all that stuff. I feel like that's what I get to do with you a little bit, where I just kind of poke you about these things. I'm going to poke you about another one. Do you think that you should get a team representative from every team in the All-Star game?
If it's an all-star game, you're answering the question right there. It's an all-star game. If you don't have an all-star, then no. Maybe back in the day where you couldn't watch every team, we all have the MLB channels. You get to watch every team you want, so you get to see your players anyway. But if it's an all-star game, probably not. That being said, since the game no longer counts, doesn't bother me that they do. When the game counted, then it's a little different. When you're determining something, then the best players have to play. But I'm also that guy that believes the best players should play the entire game. Judge should play 7 innings, 9 innings. All right? The game's going to be decided late, yet the best players are gone by then. Doesn't make much sense to me.
I can't wait for How to Train Your George Kurtz 2. That's coming out next Saturday. Make sure you set your DVRs. Let's get to, is it time for the Rangers to rebuild, buy or sell? George, I got to tell you, I'm going to sell this one. I don't think it's time for them to rebuild. I think you hope that Eovaldi comes back healthy and can, you know, kind of regain at least something close to what he's doing. And Tyler Mahle eventually get him back. DeGrom's been brilliant. Got a lot of veterans. I just think there's too much invested. What do you think?
I agree. Well, I mean, you got DeGrom, Eovaldi, Tyler Mahle, guys just named. How do you rebuild that pitching staff? You go with 3 veterans there. All right, I guess you could do it around the island with Semien and Seager. They're up there as well. No, not the way the team is constructed.
Last one, Jacob Wilson will lead the league in batting average this year. Buy or sell, George?
Buy. Great ballpark there in Sacramento. Whether it's going to get hotter, the ball's going to keep going there. Yes, I'm going to buy that Jacob Wilson will lead the league in batting average.
Well, right now, he isn't. Just putting it out there. It's Aaron Judge at 358, Jonathan Aranda at 331, Jeremy Pena 322. You know what? I'm going to sell this. I'm going to think somebody else does. In fact, let's have some fun. Let's say Aaron Judge Triple Crown. Why? Because the American League is lame. Lame. There you go, George. Now you love me again because I said nice things about Aaron Judge. When we come back, we're going to close things out here strong. Don't go anywhere. More FST right after this.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bomber's Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Horse. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, everybody, a little bit of history for you. Chase Burns made his much anticipated debut for the Cincinnati Reds this week against the New York Yankees and struck out a lot of guys. In fact, here's a little bit of history for you. Chase Burns of the Reds is the only pitcher in the last 50 years to strike out the first 5 batters he faced in his MLB debut. That's from OptaStats. Pretty incredible, George. I know you saw this start, as did I. Certainly impressive velocity, but that's everybody nowadays. To me, he's more of a thrower than a pitcher at this stage in his career. And you could tell because the second time around that lineup, the Yankees kind of caught up to him. Ben Rice hits a home run. They start hitting him around the ballpark a little bit. And the adjustment wasn't there. I'm not saying against lesser teams he can't have great fantasy success. Of course he can. Big-time strikeout potential. But against those better teams, I do think Chase Burns might struggle just a tad. What was your takeaway from the Chase Burns start?
I think it's fair. He's going to have to learn that, listen, Major League, you can't just throw the ball 99 wherever you want, and it won't get hit. They'll time it, they'll hit you. So you're going to have to be more of a pitcher, change speeds, move the ball up, down, in, out, that sort of thing. I think he's going to be fine. My biggest worry might be, once again, Great American Small Park, that sort of thing where those balls do fly out a little easier than in other ballparks there. But other than that, I'm on Chase Burns in my home league. I'm going to be claiming him here to get on my pitching staff. I'm going to like the strikeouts there. I do worry about an innings limit as well. We see that a lot in baseball. But once again, Cincinnati, 2 games out of a wild card. I mentioned I'm on Cincinnati. I got a ticket on them to make the playoffs this year. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And, Abbott looks good. Lodolo, Singer. I know he didn't pitch all that well the other night. Burns. Nick Martinez, I'm starting to believe in the Reds here, Joe. Starting to believe in the Reds.
He is manifesting that ticket he has into fruition. That's what he's doing, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sports Grid 60. Let's get after it, George.
All right, NHL draft was last night here. I finally get to say nice things about the New York Islanders, the team I root for here. They had the number 1 pick, so they were always going to have a good draft here at Matthew Schaefer. They had the big trade of Noah Dobson to the Montreal Canadiens there. They got the 16th and 17th overall pick. Yeah, they wanted to get to the Long Island boy Higgins there. They tried to get him, and he fell to 7th. I'm kind of surprised they couldn't pull a deal off, but it seems like, listen, just like in fantasy leagues, takes 2 to tango. I can want to make a trade, but if I can't find anyone to trade with, Not going to happen. I can offer whoever I want here. So the Islanders couldn't get Higgins, but they still found 2 top 10 players that fell to them at 16, 17. Islanders doing the right thing. They're going to have to eat it for a couple of years. All right, this is not going to be a great team. Probably shouldn't make the playoffs for a while. You got the first pick in the second round today. You got 2 more first-round picks next year. Build it slowly. We can eat it for a couple of years to build it the right way. I'm very happy with what the Islanders did here with their draft, not their fantasy draft, their NHL draft. Maybe finally we can get out of obscurity and finally be a hockey team again in a couple of years.
Good stuff there, George. All right, let's talk a little bit about last night in Arizona. Ketel Marte came back to thunderous support from his hometown group there, supporting him after a really horrible incident earlier this week where some fan was yelling awful things to Ketel Marte, made him super emotional, where, Ketel Marte's mom passed away a few years ago, tragically, in a car accident. And apparently this guy was so relentless the entire time out there that really Ketel Marte started to get emotional, and it was a really ugly scene. Luckily, that fan was escorted out. And I get it. Like, fans want to say, hey, I paid a ticket. I could say whatever I want, do whatever I want. Here's a good rule of thumb. You go to any sort of public sporting event, right? Don't say anything that would embarrass you in front of the people you love. Think about that. Think about that for a second. You want to be tough on somebody. You want to have a good time. You want to have a couple of beers. Okay, that's cool. But I think there's a line that you start to cross when you talk about dead moms. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with people out there? Come on. Like, there's one thing about talking about a guy being a bad defender. It's another thing trying to defend a guy talking about someone's parent who passed away, especially in a tragic set of circumstances. So, again, what you see nowadays when you go to a lot of games, it's pretty horrible. Seeing a lot of people who continue to go on and just berate players or berate other fans. The environment's gotten really crappy out there nowadays. The good rule of thumb, again, don't say anything that would embarrass you in front of your own children, let alone other people's. Don't say anything that would embarrass you in front of your grandma or your grandpa or somebody else you respect. And maybe a good rule of thumb, too. Maybe you should call your mother. Yeah, maybe you should do that. See how she's doing. George Kurtz, great stuff. As always, I want to thank our entire team here at SportsGrid. And again, shout out to Ketel Marte. Really nice moment there from not only his ball club and the fan base, but also the visiting fan base too last week as well in Chicago. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For George Kurtz, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
th at 7:30 p.m. Ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage, pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.